One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Critcats Presents Tavern Talk again. It has been several months at this point. We took a break to run a owlbear adventure game for a few months, and that went pretty well. But we are back doing some tavern talking, and this week we are going to try again a dungeon draft. We did this in, I think, episode 2 of Tavern Talk, where we got a dungeon map and gathered some friends together and then drafted all of the interesting bits about that dungeon amongst ourselves and then kind of collaboratively built a dungeon. First time we did it turned out actually really entertainingly. We got a lot of worms. A lot of worms were involved in that dungeon.
Worms.
Squiggly texts, worm cults. There were some flumps. It was actually it turned out way better than I could have hoped. And we're gonna catch lightning in a bottle a second time tonight with our friends again to give some introductions. All of these people you have seen before on our various other shows, but we'll go through again. Over here in the other top corner is Sasha, my Tavern Talk ride or die, always here with me. Beneath my box over here is Lynn, hanging out with us. They were in the Owlbear Run adventure and did really well there, so we're looking forward to seeing how it goes here. And over on the box beneath Sasha is Fia, back again for another round of the dungeon draft in hopes that we make another really exciting dungeon. It was her worm suggestion last time that led us on the craziest of tangents. So
That was fun.
we will see how we do this time. Now the group has already seen the dungeon map. I've shared it with them so that they can kind of prime their thoughts for how we want to go about selecting things, because it is strategic. Lynn, you're new to this. What we will have are 10 options. We're answering basically the five basic questions: the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's, and the why's of this dungeon. And so there are 10 questions that need to be answered. We will select among us someone to go first, and then just pick where you want in the question line. And then once everyone has selected what question they want to answer, we will start at the top and work our way down and collaboratively kind of answer these questions until a dungeon is formed with all of the things we're going to put in it. So with that noted, here is the dungeon map for those of you who do not already have access to it. Those of you at home watching, it is this time a very intricate map. I see a lot of statues, some weird cave structures. We will see where this takes us. But our questions for the evening, again, I'll just read through them, and then we will. I'll have them up here on the main screen so that we can kind of see what they are, and we will draft them here shortly. So we want to know some interesting things about our dungeon, where it's located, and how that environment outside can affect maybe the inside of the dungeon. As an example, last time our dungeon was located in a salt flat area, and this led to a lot of interesting design with pit traps made of encrusted salt and the flumps that ate the salt while they were moving around the dungeon, and a lot of interesting remains of water-based things that had once lived in the dungeon, but no longer as the water had drained away, leaving this encrusted dungeon behind. Then we kind of want to know the when. So, like, when was this dungeon originally created? Or when did its current inhabitants move in? It could have always had the same inhabitants, or it could be an old dungeon with some old tricks that the new people don't know about yet. We could kind of mix and match. That way, you could have some old dungeon feel, new owners. People who just moved in. We do want to know about the who. Who is the significant NPCs of the dungeon? Your big bads, any good or neutral NPCs that may be wandering around. Last time we had a crazy miner who had accidentally fallen into the dungeon and couldn't get out, that the party had to run across and deal with. And then we have a bunch of who's or what's to pick from. So you get to pick a monster, a trap, or a puzzle to inhabit the dungeon and kind of place it somewhere within the dungeon that you find interesting. We have four of those to pick from. And then we have a what. So what do the inhabitants of the dungeon want, or what have they done that has drawn attention to themselves? Another what that needs answered is, what is the main treasure of note that can be acquired in the dungeon? The fancy treasure. There can also be, while you're picking other things like your monsters, your traps, your puzzles. If they have some smaller treasure of note, feel free to mention that. But the big what is the fanciest thing you can find down here, and potentially who has it. That's why it's near the bottom, because by then we've already picked like a big bad and a bunch of monsters. And then, of course, the last question: why? Why are the player characters going to this dungeon? What is the adventure hook? What is the main reason that they are hanging out here? So with that involved, does everyone have access to a D20?
I can go get access real quick.
Okay.
I have access.
Everyone acquire the closest D20. I need to actually go grab one as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab one too. Be right back.
Mine also.
So that we can determine turn order.
I need to get back into my dice making. Oh shoot. I need to get back into my dice making.
But
sorry, my child decided to scream.
Oh, they do that. But so yeah, your dice making, you're about ready to start that up again?
I'm gonna try. It's because it takes up a lot of effort and stuff. I'm hoping that my goal right now is June for stuff that's happening in town, to be able to get rid of some stuff and clean up my apartment a bit more, and then actually schedule times where I'm actually doing that stuff. It just takes a lot of time, because it's especially waiting for like the resin to cure, and then I'm also having like my 3D printer on top of it too, so getting back into using that, making my custom dice sets, and then getting my curing station up for more particular for the resin that I 3D print, so then that way I can have my custom dice printed so I can make my molds out of them.
Alrighty. Alright, everyone has a D20? All good?
I'm deciding between my two newest, so I could go with the brand new green one, or this one might require a bit more activity, but I could also go with this.
Alright then. That is
Yes!
I like that one.
That one.
Do that one.
That one. Do that one.
All right.
As the whole table shakes.
You just see the camera go.
All right, everyone roll your D20.
I'm going to use the floor.
I could hear the thunk from here.
Very comforting sound.
All right, I got a 10. The averagest of averages. 13?
Yeah.
I got a 9.
Okay. Sasha?
5.
All right, so 13. So our turn order is... And then... Let's see, you had a 9, Fia?
Yep.
All right. Lynn, how do you spell your name?
Lin.
Okay, good. I got it right.
Perfect.
All right. Turn order is Lynn, then me, then Fia, then Sasha. Lynn, you are first. Which of these 10 questions would you like as your first pick?
I was thinking number 3.
Number 3, you want a significant NPC.
Yes.
Okay. It is now marked as yours. Let's see. I took the where last time. I'm going to take first monster trap or puzzle pick this time. Fia?
I think I will go with number 1, the very first where.
All right. And Sasha?
Let's see. I will pick number 6.
You'll take one of the middle monster trapper puzzle picks.
Yeah.
All right. And back to the top, Lynn?
Let's go... I'll take number 5. One of the monster
Trapper puzzle picks. All right. And Fia?
I thought you...
Oh, I can't count.
That threw me off.
Yeah, sorry. I will take the plot hook this time. I think Sasha had the plot hook last time.
I think I did.
All right, now Fia.
I'm going to go with number 10.
I already did. That was the plot hook.
Ah, I put your name down in the wrong place. Never mind. I'm gonna go with number 8.
All right. So, what the inhabitants want, or what have they done? All right, Sasha.
Number 2 already get chosen.
Number 2 is not yet chosen. So
I'll go ahead and
I
pick
believe
2.
you did that one last time as well.
I think I did too.
All right. Well, you have some experience in that category, so hopefully it works out
Legacy
again.
question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lynn, back to you. We still have another monster trap or puzzle pick, or the main treasure.
Let's do main treasure, number 9.
All right, Lynn wants the main treasure. And I guess that means that I have to take the other who, what, monster trap or puzzle pick. All right, so we have a lineup now of what we've got. It looks like Fia will be starting us off, followed by Sasha, then Lynn, then me, then Lynn again, then Sasha, then me, then Fia, then Lynn, then me at the end. With that in mind, let us switch over to our dungeon map real quick so that all can see the glory of the dungeon map. It's quite a map. It has so many strange things in it. It looks like we've got caverns, rivers, statues, pits, some kind of weird obelisk, a torture chamber. I don't know, all kinds of fun stuff. So with that in mind, Fia, you're up first. Where is this dungeon located, and how does its environment outside affect the inside?
So initially, all of the statues made me want to think perhaps a Mediterranean-esque environment where there's a whole bunch of carvings. Perhaps there's some art depicted across the walls. There's these, just however old they are, these are just pieces that have some kind of great cultural or religious significance to whoever created them. But then I decided, no, I want to 180 that. So instead of a fun tropic environment in a Grecian-esque area, I thought perhaps let's just throw this in the taiga.
Okay. So it's in like a not quite a scrubland, but like a taiga's wintry, not quite permafrost area.
Yeah, kind of like a very wintry evergreen forest, and perhaps instead of like traditional stone carved statues and obelisks and columns, perhaps some of these are carved of ice.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
So because because the environs here are cold, many or most of these statues can be frozen statues.
Exactly.
All right, let me just add that here to the list.
It also makes the water features deeper in the dungeon just a little bit less safe.
Because they're colder. You fall in them, you may get the hypothermias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems good. All right. Well, now that we know that we're taking place in a frozen taiga-esque wintry environ, Sasha, when was this dungeon originally created, and when did its inhabitants move in?
See.
I mean, those both can be the same time, or they can be separate.
I'm gonna make it at the same time.
Okay.
But I kind of want to make it. I don't really know time frames if into fantasy or into just past or anything like that.
Well, since the original inhabitants live here, if you say that this is a very old dungeon, then we have to take that into account when picking our monsters and things, because they have to be either undead or demons or long-lived things.
Right. I do have an idea for that already before I even thought about this one. So
if you say that it's kind of newer, then there are other options. But
let's go with in between on that time frame.
So this dungeon is a not a 3-digit number year old. It's in the decades.
Yeah. Well, to some that's really new. To some that's old. Just kind of depends on the person.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll go with.
This dungeon was created in living memory of your standard normal fantasy race, like a human or a gnome or a halfling or even a dwarf, because they like to be like 150 or so. So
by the looks of it, it's like someone came up with an idea, and obviously, it's not too happy to be looked at by normal society, so they decided to go underground in their own area and do their own biddings that way.
Okay, so this is created in living memory, maybe a few decades old, has original inhabitants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so someone has recently, within the last few decades, excavated out this lair, and so now we need to decide who may have done that, or who is in it wandering around regardless. So, Lynn, you have the first who, is there a significant big bad or random good or neutral NPC that you would like to claim as the lord of this dungeon, or are also just random passerbys?
So kind of an idea for a big bad I had is like some sort of like powerful sorcerer, and maybe even potentially using like the statues to like protect the lair, because he's like, very powerful, maybe even
This
can
is
like animate the
Is
statues.
this like an Elsa situation?
Ha! Ha ha ha!
Maybe. Maybe thinking on the lines of Dungeon Meshi as well.
Sure. So there's
It's a winter elf.
some kind of so tell me more about this sorcerer who commands this dungeon.
Let's see. He's always been kind of a recluse. Shuts himself out from the outside world. Intentionally built this to be like fairly hostile against anyone who tries to enter. Indicates it with the stone face obelisk at the front of it.
Oh, the creepy face at the front.
Yes. That's kind of what I have right now for him. And another thing that kind of came into my mind was this Carl was here, carving at the bottom of here, like by the river. So I was thinking Carl could also be just like a separate NPC wandering the dungeon, maybe even like completely unknown, just like lives just in the river in hiding.
So is this some kind of is Carl some kind of aquatic creature that lives in the river?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say
Either
that'd be good.
either like a Triton, if you want to go more I guess humanoid, or maybe some kind of Kuatoa or other fish person.
See, let's go with Triton on this.
Okay. So there's also Carl. And is Carl good, neutral, benign, teams up with the sorcerer? Is he just something the sorcerer can't get rid of?
I'd say he's probably just like
Carl.
an annoyance to the sorcerer.
Carl.
He's thinking
Carl.
the sorcerer keeps on
Carl.
kicking out Carl, who always seems to find his way in. Turns out Carl can just swim upstream, so it's actually very easy for him to sneak in repeatedly.
Okay, so Carl is an annoying Triton who lives in the river. Is he relatively neutral to adventurers, or is he friendly toward adventurers?
He is neutral towards adventurers. I'd say probably if the party ran into him, Carl would probably request to stay out of the river. That's his territory, but wouldn't do anything like dangerous towards them.
Okay,
Just
so
maybe
wouldn't pick a fight, but would just be like, "Hey, that's my water."
Yeah, say big words, but actually don't do anything. He's secretly a coward.
Carl strikes me as some kind of like neighbor that's just an annoying neighbor who has like better lawn art or whatever going on. Just there to spite the sorcerer.
Maybe Carl and his family have all this is their spawning stream, and they swim up this stream all the time. They've always done this, and this sorcerer just set up shop here in the last few decades, and Carl's like, this is my river. I mean, you can set up shop over here, but this is my river.
This my river. This my home.
We don't take to your kind around here.
I'm imagining Carl like making a garden or something, and the sorcerer is just sneering at him from like across the like across the area.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
funny.
for some reason the sorcerer just can't get rid of him,
Mhm.
and is finally just given up.
Everyone in the area, like the sorcerer, is trying to gain notoriety, but everyone in the area knows this cave is Carl's cave. So
You
He
stay
carved
away
it
from
on
my
the wall.
cave. You stay away from my cave.
yeah,
This is my home. Mine. My side, your side, my side. Turned into
All
a
right.
hermit.
So next up is a monster trap or puzzle, and that's one of mine. I think looking at the dungeon, we have some opportunities here. There are, for some reason, a bunch of humanoids in the closets along the just to the left of the big statue area, and I I think it would be interesting if they were some kind of frozen zombies. I was gonna go with just like elemental guards, but we've got like the big fancy statues, and maybe that'll be a thing later. And we've already got kind of like a frozen-y feel going for this area. It's always cold here, so I like the idea that the sorcerer just keeps collecting adventurers that much like a Medusa would collect statuary as they make them. This guy, as he defeats various adventuring groups, he just kind of doesn't know what to do with them. He can't throw them in the river because Carl will get mad. And maybe he's tried that on more than one occasion, and it hasn't worked out for him. And Carl keeps tossing them back into the cave, and then they're just covered in ice because they've been in the water, and then it freezes. And so he's just taken these frozen corpses and thrown them in these little storage closets that he has over just down the stairs from like his bedroom area. And so he's got just closets and closets of corpses that he can, on a whim, activate as his frozen refrigerated zombie army. So
if he runs out of like room, does he keep on making closets?
I don't know. Maybe he has. Looking at the map, he has at least one empty closet and at least a few that are not at capacity yet. So, but I like the idea of like refrigerated zombies.
Yeah.
And I think even there is. Here, let me check real quick. Okay, when the Icewind Dale adventure came out, it gave us some frozen zombie kind of stuff. There's like an Icewind Kobold zombie. So like arguably I would use the stats for that maybe, or yeah, that's a pretty solid, like some kind of frozen, some kind of half frozen zombie to kind of to be the bulk of the defense force of the dungeon. Like whenever adventurers wander in, the sorcerer is just like, send some zombies after him, and he just kind of like flicks his fingers, and then a couple of the doors open, and some zombies kind of shuffle out and start moving down the halls. All right, so we have some refrigerated zombies as the first line of defense in this dungeon, I guess. Lynn, you are the next who what pick, whether it be a monster, a trap, or a puzzle in this dungeon. There are many features that could be traps, puzzles, or you could place some monsters in there wherever you see fit. We currently have a big bad sorcerer who has access to at least a couple handfuls of frozen zombies.
I've been kind of interested in this scale type of thing in
Okay.
like
The
the middle of the
central
map.
scale.
Yeah. So potentially you can make a puzzle with like a bunch of weights in front of it, and you have to like distribute the weights evenly across across the across like the two scales.
That'd be a fun one. That'd be a fun puzzle.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that is a puzzle, and puzzles generally are placed for a reason. What does solving the puzzle do for you? Does it
Maybe
activate something elsewhere in the dungeon, or does it grant you some kind of mystical boon, or
maybe
does it unlock like a treasure door or something? I don't know.
maybe it disables like a trap elsewhere. Maybe even like these like statues in this courtyardy type area are like turrets, and balancing the scales disables that.
Okay, so
So you
the
can,
scales and the courtyard statues are part of a complex trap.
yeah.
And the scale the weight distribution puzzle disables the statue trap. All right. So what theoretically, and if you don't have a good answer, that's fine. What does one use in the weight distribution puzzle? Do you have to like what are we balancing?
okay, there could be
Is this kind of like the Egyptian style of like, your feather versus a heart, or
um there could potentially be like weights uh kind of hidden in like the other various rooms, or maybe even uh or just like even like in one spot, uh something that like I was thinking like weights that would be kind of like big enough that like one party member could only hold one each, and uh but like just kind of like stone blocks effectively.
okay.
Yeah.
So just
Something
a basic weight balance of some kind that will click disable the statue traps.
yeah.
All right. I think I have all
Well,
of that noted.
to help
Yes, Sasha?
add on to that idea, one if it could be with that scale, maybe it could help with that door that's got that small room that has stuff in it. Maybe that could be something that unlocks it, maybe. Where you have to use the scale to unlock that door to get in. That's just an idea.
Hmm.
To add on to it.
Cool.
Or maybe even for the weights, since we're kind of going for an ice theme, why don't we use blocks of ice? And
Oh, there you
then
go.
like party
Yeah.
members have to melt one of them down to line up with the other one.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one too.
So I like the idea of just uniform blocks of ice just sitting around in like the main foyer, and the scale, and the party being like, I don't understand what it wants. Like these two blocks of ice, one on each side, but but they don't line. It doesn't show even, and they're the same size. And you're like, well, you have to melt one down or double up, or
Somebody slaps one accidentally and it slides across the floor. Just like,
It's-
no, we gotta get that back
It
now.
turns out it's magical that like the scale is already weighted on one side. Like one of the dishes is just heavier than the other, so you have
Permanently
to like place
fixed
a
ice
certain
block.
amount. Yeah, you have to put a certain amount of ice in the other one and kind of melt down a block to kind of make it even. But then it only is even for so long before the melting resets, and you have like a certain amount of time to disable the like once the scales become uneven again, the trap resumes. So once you've disabled it, it's not permanently disabled, it's only temporarily disabled.
I like that. I like that.
Ooh.
Make note of that. Temporarily disables the trap.
I like conceptually, like, born from that is that this is a very cold, frozen environment, but there's at least one thing in this dungeon that's hot enough to melt an ice cube, and it is that one plate.
Or make it where the party has to utilize figuring
they
out
have to
how to
utilize
melt
like a
it.
torch, like hold it underneath the plate to warm up the metal, so that it
Or have to use, like, produce flame or something to, like, light it and then go, oh, that's right, but it melts like ice melts very slowly. So you have to
Right.
wait.
Just take a
it's
short
a
rest.
it's a time sink. It's a time sink puzzle.
It's a ritual. Takes 10 minutes to melt down at least a pound of ice.
You have to do this all while ice zombies are shuffling around
Yes.
the dungeon.
That's funny. I like that one too.
It's like, how much time do we
This
got?
is-
Well, those zombies are shuffling real slow, but they'll get here. We better
Keep
melt
melting
this
the ice!
This is
Can't
when
we
the
do it
party-
faster?
This
This is
torch only has one speed.
this is where the party recruits Carl, who has been chased by the zombies like countless times at this point, so he knows how to like run them
Yeah.
around in circles.
He's like I usually herd them into
He
a
knows-
room and shut the door.
He
The
knows
sorcerer
how to,
hates that.
he knows how to lure them. He knows how to like slowly like lure them away in some certain movies that have done that. How did you get away? Oh, well, I lured them away.
Leaning more into the Carl being kind of like an Appalachian
Just a
hick
chaos
sort of
agent.
small town guy. She just lures them with a fishhook or something and just slides him across the floor because everything here's ice.
I like where this is going. This is already amazing.
Just becomes an ice hockey rink.
All right. So for our next pick, another who and what pick, a monster trap or puzzle. Sasha, have you considered
got-
any other?
Two things. The first one is the easier one. Those giant statues.
Yes.
I would make those construct monsters. That
Okay.
if
Now,
the
do
party
remember
gets
they
like
are at the moment they are arguably temporarily disabled by the scales.
yes, I could go with that. I could go with that. I also kind of the other thing is possibly another puzzle inside that same like large chamber where like those pillars are. I kind of imagine those pillars are made from like either ice or crystal, and the party would have to end up like tapping the right ones because they'll make a noise and they have to have the right tune.
Do they also glow with like some kind of mystical light when you tap
Yeah.
them? Okay.
Yes. And that would have to enter in something that would, I would say either in particular deal with the altar on the very top,
All right.
or it
so-
could deal with something with that that mouth, that entry down there.
It's a boppet chamber.
All right, so the musical pillar light puzzle. Slash trap. Because arguably, if you get it wrong, do the statues shoot like magical energy at the pillars and then
Yes.
refract it through the room?
Yes, let's do that. That sounds fantastic. Instead of making them live walking constructs, they just are activated by the
They're like
pillars.
turrets.
Yes, essentially. And at first, it would also be where at first they hit the wrong combination, and all of a sudden, all this stuff just fractures around the room, and they have to figure out that it's coming from the statues. So that'll be a fun one. I like that one.
All right, so they're trying to solve this puzzle, not get shot by magical lasers that are refracting through the icicle crystalline pillars, and also they're still very slow ice zombies, just kind of milling around,
Making their way downtown.
Yeah.
Making their
All right.
way downtown. Walking slow.
So you gotta avoid getting
They
shot.
don't know where to go.
Statue
That's the tune we gotta get with the pillars.
All right. Now, the next thing is a monster trap or puzzle. Is my turn to choose, and I'm going to deal with this object here on the eastern corner of the map that looks like some kind of glass or crystalline structure that's full of little circly bits, and then has some kind of iceberg or stone structure that is kind of placed before it in two parts. I kind of want that also to be a puzzle, and to make it a little weirder, I want that pillar to be full of eyeballs from all the zombies. And all of the eyeballs are preserved in this container, and there is a puzzle on various on this first little stone that you come to heading out of this room that talks about like seeing knowledge or something, and it involves colors of eyes. So your blue eyes, your green eyes, there'll be red eye. We'll do all different various colors of eyeballs that this sorcerer has managed to collect from all of these zombies. So all of these zombies are effectively also blind. Not that it matters because they're undead. So we'll treat them as if they had blind sight, I guess. So they can kind of shuffle around as long as you're within about 30 feet of them. They know roughly where you are. But another real fun way to avoid the zombies will be to just stay more than 30 feet away from a zombie at any given time, and it just won't know where you are. But there are many of them wandering around, so you kind of have to play like a game of Frogger, avoiding the various zombies as their paths kind of start to intersect. But anyway, back to the eyeballs. So the eyeball container will dispense eyeballs, and you can use those to work on this little stone. You can just like plot them in this little sockets in the stone to solve the puzzle. And if you solve the puzzle wrong, the eyeballs that you put in it kind of wither away, and one of your eyeballs goes in the jar.
Oh no.
So you can only solve the puzzle wrong twice.
So Does that mean Carl has one eye?
I mean, do you want Carl to only have the one eye? Do you want to be one eye Carl?
Would
Right.
Carl have bothered trying the puzzle if he's
I
just here
don't
to
know. I don't
inconvenience
think
the sorcerer?
Carl would care as much about it, particularly.
I mean, he just lives here.
Right. We'll let Carl have both of his eyes, but he knows
Maybe
better than to
Carl
mess
has
with.
extra eyes that he
Yeah.
can dispose of.
Or
if
he
it
knows
needs.
about the puzzle,
Oh, he definitely
doesn't-
knows about the
but
puzzle.
he doesn't tell the party intentionally
Ooh.
Yeah, because he's a neutral
because they're
chaos
in his
agent.
home. They're in his home.
He just wants to see what happens.
Right.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that's the deal. If you solve the puzzle wrong, the eyeballs you use get destroyed, and one of your eyeballs goes in the jar. So a person can only get it wrong twice, normally, unless they're like a beholder or something, and then it gets really weird. But having solved the puzzle correctly, the two candles on the other side of the second ice chunk will light up, and they will magically heat the area, melting it, and whatever is inside is the treasure. I don't know what the treasure is, because that is not my thing to pick, but that is where it is. And it is in an ice chunk that is being that can only be released via these magical candles. So let me make a note of that. Eyeball and magic candle puzzle. A lot of puzzles in this dungeon.
It's a tricky sorcerer.
And it releases a treasure of some kind. It can make you lose an eye. Or two.
or
do
two,
it-
or
if you-
more,
if-
or more if people want to keep trying.
Yeah. Can you start betting other people's eyes if you've already lost both of yours?
Zombies watch with popcorn.
Yeah, I don't think you can bid other people's eyes, or maybe you can. Maybe if you have extra eyes like in your hand, one of those goes back to the jar. Yeah, that seems a little less. Then people will just scoop up as many eyes as they possibly can to solve the
Right.
puzzle.
They have to trade eyes with Carl.
Carl, do you got some fish eyes we can borrow?
Well,
That's
you
actually what
know
I was
what?
thinking was fish eyes.
He's like, I just caught this salmon and I don't need the head. Just take the whole head. Then the DM gets to roll a 1 in 4 or 2 in 4 chance whether or not the salmon eye goes or your eye goes. Because it just takes an eye from you. So there's a 50-50 shot at that point whether it's one of yours. All right, so the giant pillar of eye stealing and treasure distributing has been labeled. The next option is the what. So what do the inhabitants want? What have they done? Fia, that is you. What is our sorcerer? What is our sorcerer and or the zombies and or Carl want? And what have they done?
So we've established Carl just lives here. He just exists. This is his cave. He's been here for quite some time. This was his father's cave and his father's cave before him. This is the Carl cave. The notorious Carls. This sorcerer, however, is up to some weird shit.
Clearly,
Alright.
he's got zombies and eyeballs.
Yeah. So I think this sorcerer has a weird eyeball thing, like magic eyeball thing, and he's trying to collect eyeballs and eyeball based magic items, and people were just like, nah, we don't want none of that because we want to keep our eyeballs. And so this sorcerer was like, well, I don't want none of that jazz. So I'm going to collect eyeballs elsewhere. And so he took up this cave to try and sort of just sit here and lure adventurers into this area to steal their magic items and to collect their eyeballs and to turn them into zombsicles or whatever they become afterwards.
Zombsicles.
Yeah, and what he does from here is he just experiments with the eyeballs, turning them into puzzles, and coming up with other fantastic magical traps, and making them into like magic items. And in order to lure people here, every so often he'll just like start a rumor nearby. It's just like, there's this mysterious cave and nobody returns from it alive, and all the corpses that have arrived from the waters pouring from the cave.
Just imagine when his eyeball stock starts getting low, that's when he calls in like his bard agent and is like, you go sing a song.
And now he has a bard agent, you say. But he's just trying to be a hermit and grab at power without doing any of the actual like serious work. And when he's been had, he's not like angry about it, but he's definitely really weird about people's eyes. It's like he'll wonder if every conversation that you have with him, you're in some way, shape, or form going to offer him your eyeballs.
All right.
He just casually keeps bringing it up, like, man, you've got some really pretty brown eyes.
He's great on first dates, but every date afterwards, it's a little.
You're like, this is the second time you've mentioned how pretty my eyes are, and I'm starting to get concerned.
No, it's fine.
No, it's just I think
they have a nice round shape.
They would look really pretty, just like as collector items, you know. Just like that's a shiny set.
Oh dear. There's a lot of red flags. All
the red flags. He's a red flag burrito. Just rolled himself up in a giant red flag.
And Carl's just his neighbor is just like, the resale value is going down, but like, damn it, I ain't moving.
Carl's just like, yeah, I stopped talking to him once he started talking about eyes like that. It was weird.
Yeah, I tell my wife
weird.
I tell my wife and the kids to just look the other way.
Don't interact with him. He's just weird. When he starts talking about them eyes, you start running.
One of the reasons Carl may still have his eyes is that he is some kind of cave fish-based Triton, so he's arguably blind.
Ooh.
And then also has like blind side out to like, forever. So he can see technically, or he does it via some kind of weird fish magic. I don't know, but
he's some kind of local fish.
But he's like, he's got that cave fish eye look that's all like just the white eyes, and he has like the bioluminescence.
My brain went to someone putting googly eyes on his face.
That is an option.
And so the sorcerer is not interested in Carl's eyes.
They're not pretty.
A super rare treasure item in the cave is just a set of googly eyes. And here's the option to give them to Carl.
Then Carl won't take them because he'll be like, don't give me them eyes. Because then he'll want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to him.
He'll take my eyes again.
He'll take them stupid eyes. He'll like these ones because they're solid and black in the circle, aren't they? It's great.
Carl, the blind yokel Triton.
My brain went
yokel
to
cave Triton.
My brain literally went to like a combination between like a literal fish person and like a Lord of the Rings creature. Like, my brain went straight to that as a weird combination. oh, and then I was like, what if you put googly eyes on its face? And then I just started losing it.
Yep.
Because googly eyes.
All
Fake
right.
eyelashes and everything.
So we have we now know what the deal is for our sorcerer and potentially his cave mate Carl. So with that, Lynn, what is the main treasure? What is the fancy thing?
I was thinking of some sort of sort of unique staff. Of course, decorated with an eyeball on top.
Okay. So
Maybe
some kind
it
of
gives
unique
you.
magical like like a scrying staff of some kind, or does it like shoot out eye lasers, or all of the above, or what is its deal?
I initially thought of like letting you cast Animate Dead, but I also like the Eye of the Scrying Staff as well. Um, let's go with Animate Dead to be kind of thematic.
All right. So it animates the dead, and anything else?
It blinks.
And it blinks.
Blinks. It blinks.
Maybe that's one of the spells it could cast.
You could cast blink.
Yeah.
There you go.
It blinks when casting. Blink.
Just the staff blinks, it just disappears, just like, where?
All right. So that brings us to question 10. Why? Why are the player characters going to this dungeon? And I think we've got a pretty good feel of it. This sorcerer has been known to put out rumors on occasion when the eyeball jar gets a little low. That there is a wizard or sorcerer or some kind of magician that has set up shop underneath this frozen taiga, and has many adventurers have gone down there and none have ever returned, and that his treasure pile must continue to grow vastly as their treasures are added to his own wealth. And also there is some kind of great magic item that has been foretold to maybe resurrect the dead. It doesn't actually do that. That's we're overselling the magic item to get the adventurers to show up. But maybe the party has a companion or NPC of theirs that has recently died, or they're being hired by some other third party who's like, I need this staff that resurrects the dead. It can see between worlds, it is said, with its scrying eye, and find the soul of my loved one and bring them back to me. And I need you to go get that staff. And so they're here to go get a bunch of treasure and get a magic staff for either themselves or a third party. That is they saw a flyer about. How do you feel about dungeons full of zombies? Are you prepared? No.
We want you.
So yeah, they heard a rumor and are here for treasures and great magic items. So that's a good plot hook. It's a very standard plot hook, but one that as a DM you can kind of fit into your game however you want. Either the party could have just heard a rumor about a lot of treasure, about some upstart wizard or sorcerer that had recently set up shop and is maybe murdering people, and I don't know. They never come out of the wizard hole, and there's uh, there are a lot of rumors about like zombie armies and great treasure and who knows what. So, and somebody hired them to go find some resurrection staff, and they're not going to find that. They're going to find an animate dead staff that also allows them to blink places. And the source they have to fight the sorcerer for it eventually, because he's not gonna want to let them leave without stealing his toys. He needs that to resurrect their corpses later and add their eyeballs to his jar.
And the staff has his most precious eye on it, of course.
Oh, what kind of eye?
Really
What kind of
big.
monster eyeball is it?
Oh, it
Like
could
beholder is
be,
pretty straightforward. It could be like a beholder eye on top, but what other crazy monster has like a big eye that would be fun?
I want to, for some reason, since we kind of got like an aquatic stuff going on, I would love to see like a crystallized kraken eye.
A crystallized kraken eye.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's great, especially since words come so easily to me. Especially
English
since
is hard.
Yeah. Especially since krakens are typically in like tropical environments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that wouldn't be easily accessible where he's at right now.
Right. So he can't just go get another kraken eye.
Yeah. It's a collector's item.
Do you know how long it took for me to get that kraken eye?
I had to trade down for this.
I had to get the kraken eye before I could start the dungeon.
It's true. He needed the staff to create the trap and resurrect all the and animate all the dead adventurers that have come to the dungeon.
Great.
Could you just imagine before it was full of zombies? Like he was just wandering around, and like an adventuring party would wander in, and he'd have to like deal with them himself, or hope that they get lured into the hall of lasers, and be like, maybe that solves the problem. I hope that solves the problem because I'm just
That's
me
funny.
right now. And then after like the first batch of adventurers goes out, he's like, all right, zombie making time.
During like the first one or two batches, an adventurer like hits themselves in the face or one of their eyes gets poked out. He's like, no, the product.
Oh, I like this. All right, so to recap, so what we've got is a dungeon where it is located in a taiga area. A lot of wintry evergreens, frozen ice statues, kind of are in the dungeon. To keep with that, it is a newer dungeon. It was recently created in living memory, probably maybe a few decades old at best. Has its original inhabitants, a salty merfolk named Carl, and a sorcerer who has a weird eye fetish. The sorcerer kind of lords over the dungeon, doesn't particularly like visitors, for they interrupt his various issues and researches, but does consider every now and again letting some people in so that he can restock on supplies for his research. Carl is somewhat neutral toward adventurers, and on occasion is a chaos agent, from what I can tell. Other than that, there are refrigerated zombies that shuffle around. We've determined that they are blind. They have blind sight out to 30 feet, but if you're outside of that range, they don't know where you are, so they just kind of shuffle around until you get close enough. And then, like most games where you get too close, they start the group of them start kind of closing in, and then you accidentally trap yourself in a room and you have to deal with zombies because you can't get out. They know where you are now. So you have to sneak your way around the dungeon, dodging all of these zombies, and there's always zombies. I like the idea that you probably won't run out of zombies for a while sneaking around this dungeon. There's just for some reason he's been here for decades. There's so many zombies. He just keeps them in the closets.
Yeah.
We do have several traps here and puzzles. There is, of course, the weight distribution trap that temporarily shuts down the laser foyer of the Grand Hall turret shooting musical trap puzzle. There are various eyeballs in a magic candle puzzle that releases the famed eyeball staff. The sorcerer, of course, knows exactly which eyeballs to put in it every time. And if you solve the puzzle correctly, we'll assume that the eyeballs just go back into the jar. That way he can just kind of pluck out a few more and put. He doesn't run out of eyeballs getting his staff whenever he needs it. But when he doesn't, when you're sleeping, you got to put it. It's kind of like putting a gun in a gun safe. You just kind of put your eyeball in the ice statue, and just be like, "This lives here now until I'm ready for it again." The sorcerer does have a weird eyeball fetish. We've determined. He moved here to collect some free range eyeballs, and does experiments with those eyes. Lures folks in on occasion whenever his eye stock goes a little low. And the players are often players in this case are here because they have heard a rumor or were sent via a third party they're here mostly for treasure, but also to pick up the crystallized Kraken Eye staff that they have heard potentially resurrects the dead and can be used to see between worlds. It doesn't actually do either of those things. But they won't know that until, they show up for the adventure.
And they finish the adventure and they're like, the whole time? The whole time. We got a really good Kraken eye.
Yeah, got a really nice Kraken eye out of the deal.
Yeah.
So with this map, is there any other parts of the map of interest that anyone would like to just riff on while we're here? That were not properly explored?
Where... I'm trying to figure out where the actual entrance is. Is it
so the entrance is in the cave area where the vampire skull face mask thing is.
Okay.
That is from what I can tell, that is the actual entrance, unless you wash up in the, like, if you accidentally fall in a fjord river somewhere and get pulled underground into like the subterranean river and pop out like on the shore here, where the river kind of enters the dungeon. That's the only other place I can. Those are the two entrances I can think of.
Because there were two things that I kind of noticed. One of them was on the far right. There was that little kind of room with like a giant pillar in the middle of it, and then it goes into a half circle styled room with the little stone, and then behind it's the bigger stone.
Yes, yeah, that's where the eyeball trap is.
Okay, that's what that was.
Yeah, you pull the eyeballs from the pillar area, you put them in the little stone, and if you do it right, the candles light up and the big stone melts, and that's how you get the staff.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then there's also that one a little to the left, right close to the scales. It's like the pillar with the chains on it.
Oh, the torture, the like weird torture chamber looking area with all the bones.
Yeah.
It almost kind of looks like a pole with a bunch of swing sets on it.
That was where my brain first went to, besides
so like if it
water.
Spins around and like hits you with the chains, or...
That would be a good trap. I also thought of, my brain was thinking of like, there would be like bodies on the chains.
Oh yeah. Like people he hasn't reanimated yet. They're just
and they're kind of just there. They're just hanging, It's
like a butcher's meat freezer.
Yeah.
Yes, that was actually what I kind of went to.
He hasn't got around to reanimating them
But
yet.
there's a trap where if the party accidentally sets off the trap, it causes the pillar to spin, which chances of actually unaliving those people that are chained up because it spins.
Yeah, I see the
There's
other
also
on
the
the other
chance
side
there's
of the foyer
full-
where there's just like that circle, that little like mini circle pit.
Yeah, I saw
like
that
I
pit
like
too.
the idea of that being a like a teleportation circle. Like that's how the sorcerer gets in and out of here.
Oh, that makes
Oh.
sense.
Because like he doesn't go through like his own front door. Like why would he do that? He's got magic,
He doesn't just live here amongst his eyes.
right? So
And then Carl's on the other side of
well,
the
no,
river
he
over
lives
there.
here. Like clearly
Yeah.
he lives here. Like in the top corner. There's like a little bed and like a little chest with like a little curtain thing set up.
There we go.
Like
Yeah.
like that's probably his room. But like whenever he has to leave here, for any particular reason, he doesn't like go out the cave entrance because that's what peasants do. He goes through the magic circle and is like, I'm going somewhere, and then he teleports back in, whenever he's done shopping or whatever.
I do love that he does have a kitchen. He's got like a little dining area set up.
He does.
There
He has
is.
a little right.
There's
there.
also a little it looks like maybe a little gutter or something like right there next to that.
I imagine that
pit.
being the waste chute. Like where he
Yeah.
throws like his trash. It's a pit trap of sorts. You could fall into it. But it's like a waste chute. Now one dungeon that I did once had a similar waste chute system, and at the bottom of it I put a gelatinous cube or some other ooze that would dissolve all that stuff you throw down there in its acid. And so when the party like looked down it, they saw that there was I think there was like a magic item down there that hadn't been dissolved because it was magic. And so it looked like they were looking down into water with like just this stuff like littering on the floor at the bottom. And so one of the rogues like got some rope and dove down into it and basically just dove into a gelatinous cube. Because if it's not moving, it's basically invisible. So
Pretty
they
much.
just dove right into a gelatinous cube that was dissolving the trash.
It's just their local trash compactor.
So,
There's a
it
truck
could just
that
be
goes by
it
at
could
the
just
bottom
be
of
like
the
a waste chute that dumps into the river, which may be a point of contention with Carl. Or it could be like just a 30-foot pit trap or whatever, and at the bottom of it there's it's not so much it's a trap in that there's a gelatinous cube or some other hard to see ooze down there at the bottom, and the party could climb down there looking for treasure and find themselves dealing with an ooze.
I like both of these options, and I like the option of luring the party to it to possibly fall into a trap. I like the idea of dangling loot in front of my players. I do it a lot because it's funny.
Yeah, and with all the dead bodies around, it is not impossible to basically go to town on like a trinket table and just be like, this zombie had this random trinket in his pockets. This zombie had this random trinket. You found a couple of trinkets scattered on the floor here in the torture room that fell out of some pockets while some preparations were happening.
Yeah.
Or maybe Carl collects trinkets. For
That'd
like
be a good one.
all like the stuff that doesn't really have any monetary value but is weird, but the sorcerer doesn't want it.
Carl has an
Maybe he'll
aerial
trade
style
for
trinket
trinkets too. Like it's a good way for the party to get on Carl's good side is to trade for trinkets too.
It's just a cave with two collectors.
They collect
I was thinking
slightly
like-
different things, so it's okay.
One's a little better than the other, you know.
Just two roommates. One is a D&D fan. The other is a Pathfinder fan. Who comes out on top?
2.5 sorcerers. The half for just the zombies.
Zombies just shuffling around. It's like, get back in your closet, zombies.
Moan.
Occasionally one slips and then the whole ice hockey situation happens
Yeah,
all
just-
over again.
Just slides around.
It's like, no!
And then, like penguins, the rest of the zombies, oh, just lean over and look.
Eventually, at some point, the sorcerer like comes home from his shopping and just sees zombies sliding down the stairs, and he's like, "Not again!"
Damn it, I just had you all organized.
I'm kind of curious what this altar does, what the sorcerer does there, besides, of course, brooding.
I don't know.
Brooding.
Probably like his weird magic experiments of some kind. I doubt that is where the eye extractions happen, but that may be where he uses some of his eyeball collection to like craft magic items or do like weird eyeball rituals via the power of these like 4 statues that are here at the end. They're kind of like they're not part of the trap or turret system. Maybe they're like energy focal points of various energies that he uses in his magics to amplify his magic rituals.
It's where he makes kick-ass keychains for his Etsy shop.
But that's what I would if I were messing with that. The players are like, what strange evidence is here at the altar, and I'm like, well, there's some weird ritual tools. There's a lot of weird blood stains and like eyeball viscera stains on the altar there, and then maybe I would come up with some kind of, maybe not deity, but some kind of like sub deity or demonic presence or whatever that I would mark each of the statues as representing some kind of like either demonic or jinn based oracle, or just like each of the pillars represents like, this is the seer of the jinn kind of the elementals, and this is the seer of the demons, and this is the seer of the angels, and this is the whatever.
All these statues are not only an elaborate laser system to defend the area, but they're also display
Right.
pieces for his collection.
Yeah, they're all built to specific deities that revolve around sight, or like there's like one of them's like a huntress deity that is supposed to like grant hunters keen eyesight, or whatever.
Makes it where you cast Hunter's Mark at will.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I would do with that, with the altar, if I were designing something along those lines. And that one room with just like the supplies, I think that would just be like a supply room / maybe like small library, or something along those lines. Nothing too like I like the idea that this sorcerer doesn't have like isn't too ostentatious with like storage. He doesn't have like a grand library with like tons of books. He might have like a bookshelf with like his 30 favorite eyeball spell books.
That, or it's his first dungeon.
Yeah, this may also be like his first dungeon.
He has a copy of Dungeons for Dummies.
There's
Graduated BBEG for dummies.
Right. There's just sacks of like
An online
sacks
degree.
and buckets full of random treasure that whenever he needs to go shopping, he wanders in, like fishes a few gold out of the bucket, goes shopping, and then comes back. Like because adventurers I expect that this would be, with the primary monsters being basically just zombies and a sorcerer. This isn't a high level dungeon. really. So, like, the low-level adventurers he's killing don't have a lot of money on them anyway.
Right.
So he's not, like, getting sacks of gold and gems. He's getting, like,
Silver,
sacks of copper and
copper.
silver and, occasionally, like, a really nice gem that, like, the rogue had been stashed away for, whatever reason. And the now blind rogue, for screwing up the eyeball puzzle too many times. But so he's it's just like low level adventurer gear and treasure that's been kind of picked over, and like occasional trinkets that he's forgotten to like take out of the pockets of the zombies. But nothing like too ostentatious. Like the statue room is like his showpiece. And the eyeball puzzle is like his like pièce de résistance, like.
Yeah, that's where the real treasure is.
Yeah, this is my real treasure. I created this thing that steals eyeballs.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Whoever he's walking with is just like, uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't like it, but it is beautiful. Yep.
You made a thing, man.
Pretty much.
So
where do you
I like that vibe for this sorcerer, is that kind of low to mid level adventure, a lot of zombies, few crazy puzzles and traps all over this place, and maybe we'll throw an ooze down the garbage chute just to and throw like some gems or something accidentally down there to lure a rogue down there to see what happens. some undigestible like emeralds or something, they're very shiny because the gelatinous cube has eaten away everything that would make them not shiny.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think we got a good dungeon here. I would definitely run this adventure. In fact, I'll probably log this like the last one. I will probably log this one away for later. And next opportunity I get at my fall convention, I may try a one shot of this just to see how a party does in a strange dungeon, cohabitated by a sorcerer and a merfolk or a triton, chaos agent Carl.
I would love to see if it was a party that when they were low level decided not to go to it because it sounded weird and they didn't want to deal with it. And then like that saved them because they wouldn't have been prepared for it. And then they go here when they're higher level. They're like, "Wow, this is actually."
Oh yeah.
Why is this challenging?
This dungeon is a couple of decades, a few decades old, right? So like the adventure party, at first they saw the flyer or heard the legend and went like, that's weird. I don't know if I want whatever's down there. And then like a couple of decades later, after they've done like their adventure-y deal and they're kind of better at adventuring, they come back to this area and the flyer's still getting passed out, and they're like, did nobody defeat this dungeon in 20 years?
It's just been around.
We got to go down there. Like no one's been able to defeat this dungeon in like 20 years.
And it's because it's because all the lower level parties are the ones going after it because they think it's easy, and they're like, we got this, and then it's like missing persons.
Yeah, the higher level parties, like, I don't know, like low level adventurers wander down there and they don't come out. Maybe this is some kind of sorting mechanism. Maybe this is just how we handle not having bad adventurers in the gene pool anymore.
Is this how they win their Darwin Award?
Yeah.
The higher level party appears in the dungeon. The sorcerer's just like, wait, whoa, hang on. Nuh-uh. No, you weren't invited. Not you.
The high level party walks up, the face mask just closes.
Great.
It doesn't have a neck, but somehow it shakes its head no.
like the jaw, the jaw, like the head just comes down as if the mouth is closed, and then there's just like a little sign that says, "Sorry, you're too powerful to ride this ride."
You must be this level.
That'd be even better if, like, the higher level party shows up, but he's not there, but he knows that they're there because he's got a ring camera. And so,
Well, yeah,
and so, like, he just goes
he's,
through
like, out
one of the
shopping or
zombies,
whatever.
and the zombie talks and goes, no, you gotta go. And then there's like a zombie with like a half broken arm that's pointing in the out
Yeah, like
direction.
he's out shopping, and the zombies are of course like his security mechanism. So
Right.
they're just wandering around, and once like something notices that someone else is in the dungeon, like he gets an alarm ping, so he knows he has to go home because there are adventurers in his dungeon.
It's like a camera to spy on your dogs.
Yeah.
It's just
But
like,
the camera's an
shit.
eyeball, of course.
Yeah.
And naturally. It's just like, damn it, they got in the kibble again.
Yeah, I like that little storage room being just like junk treasure. Just so many low-level adventuring parties worth of junk treasure.
Just an obscene amount of ball bearings.
Yeah, just this whole bucket.
Caltrops. Bucket of caltrops. Higher level rogue parties just like, that is so many caltrops. Oh, guys, there's a lot here. And everyone's like, you wonder why he didn't let us in here at first?
How many
Why isn't
baby
he
rogues
using these?
first like baby rogues first adventuring kit did you pick up?
Fantastic.
He's like, after a while I just take them into town and sell them.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Build
it's
them
a
up
good-
and sell them.
it's
Or
a good
melt them
side
down.
gig.
Take
I
them to
go
a
3
blacksmith to
towns
have them
over and
melted
just
down.
sell the bucket of ball bearings back to the shopkeep.
Shopkeep
how the-
just looks
it's
at them
how-
like, why are these
it's-
covered in blood?
Ends up developing a mutual relationship with the town because he keeps returning stuff that the party bought. But
He shows up-
totally
Now the
nobody
question
knows
is,
that
now
it's the
question
same
is
BBEG.
the town evil? No. The town
Like
just
no,
doesn't
but
know.
like nobody knows that that's the BBEG.
Oh,
like,
is that his disguise when he goes into town,
yes,
like a wandering
he's
merchant?
just like a friendly merchant. Yeah, he just always has stuff on hand.
He just always
that
has
happens to
adventuring
come
gear.
from
Used,
lower
slightly
level.
used adventuring gear.
That's how he spreads the rumors.
Yes, that's how he gets the word out for the lower levels to take advantage of this.
Sorcerers are charisma-based casters.
Oh man.
Fantastic. Love it.
Beautiful.
All right.
I definitely
Well, we have
want to
a-
see how party works.
Oh man. Well, good news. At some point, I'm going to have to test this out. So I may require some lab rats from the shop to try this.
I mean, oh no, you have to twist my arm. Or put a plate of short ribs in front of me.
I mean, if I have to.
If that's what it takes.
If that's what it takes.
If that's what it takes.
All right. Well, with that said, we've drafted ourselves a really fun dungeon. We've developed it into a kind of entertaining build, zombie based this time, and sorcerer instead of creepy worm cult.
They're very interesting in their own way.
Yeah. We managed to get a little bit of weird in this one. We got eyeball things going on, and a chaos agent Triton named Carl.
There's always got to be at least one of those kinds of people in the
I'm gonna
Exactly.
be 100% honest.
There's got to be another Carl in every dungeon.
We all
I'm
know
gonna be
a Carl.
100% honest. I did not notice Carl was carved on the side of the wall, and I'm so glad
like-
that you noticed.
That is like one of the
That's
first
great
things I've noticed.
because
It's like,
I
why is
didn't
that
even
there?
notice until just now.
Right. Like I did not notice that was there until you mentioned it.
Wow, Carl's really telling quite the story here. We're getting a lot out of this name.
I know,
Carl
right?
was here, and he should literally put it. Carl was here, but stay off of my side, or like something like that. My side, your side, my side.
But yeah, for those of you listening at home now or later when we post this to YouTube, this is round 2 of dungeon drafting. This is how easy it can be. Just get yourself some friends. It's a lot easier than it sounds, I promise. And all you got to do is answer yourself the 5 basic questions. You can answer some of them multiple times. Maybe you want to throw in another treasure choice or 2 in the mix. Then maybe your dungeon, you want it to have more than one cool thing in it, treasure-wise. So you just add, another treasure choice or 2. And then you and your friends get together, you draft the questions, and then just from top to bottom, answer them. And get together, and as you answer them, kind of play off each other's answers, and it will not take long before you construct a fully functional dungeon out of just a basic empty map. I said, took this map. I would do a low-level adventure with this. There are plenty of zombies. The zombies don't all have to attack the party at the same time. They can deal with small pockets of them, as they're all blind and don't see very much anyway. You can arguably use the zombies as a hazard more than anything else. As the party's trying to do other things in the dungeon, a couple of zombies may wander in, and the party has to either be creative or fight some zombies. At some point, the sorcerer is going to show up. Carl, of course, is here. There may or may not be an ooze or gelatinous cube wandering around in the trash area. There are lots of fun puzzles that you can try. It would not take a lot to populate this dungeon differently, but this is what we ended up with, and it honestly is a rather cohesive dungeon. It's got a weird big bad. It's got some minions, got some puzzles, got some traps. It's got everything you need to have just a basic one-shot put together. You can't really ask for much more than that. If you need stats for your monsters, those are easy to get. Get yourself a monster manual. Get yourself, not sponsored by, but telling you, D&D Beyond, definitely helpful in these cases.
My brain wanted to put a mimic in there too.
I mean, it's possible. There could be a mimic who lives in the storeroom.
Yes, that's where I was thinking too.
It could just
2 copies of How to
The
Make a Dungeon.
sorcerer.
Yeah.
The sorcerer goes to grab some change and get down, get back, get back.
It's his pet mimic.
Yes.
That's what the kibble's for.
Right.
Down, kitty, down.
Occasionally he just tosses it like a zombie arm. They got, blasted off by an adventuring party at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, you could very easily have a mimic in there while the party's kind of scrounging around for lesser treasure. There just happens to be a mimic.
That's also just because mimics are some of my favorite monsters.
So, but yeah, very easy to do. Just go find yourself a map. They are so easy to find online. Just be like, dungeon map, Google search, go. And you can grab any map that strikes your fancy. And then you and your friends can get together and just have a field day with it. And when you're done, pick one of you to be the DM to run the adventure. Because now you've got them all together, so they can't, just leave. Just be like, guess what? Now that we have a dungeon, I put on my wizard cap and hat. And they're like, wait, what? And you're like, oh yeah, you're running this now. We've already done all the work.
Fantastic.
But other than that, thank you for joining us this evening. It has been a while since we did Tavern Talk. We did a nice break between shows. We have some new shows coming up eventually, question mark. Fia, you're in our new one, right?
Yes, I am. We have a new campaign that's on the horizon.
That's cool. I have a short series also that I'm almost done working on, so we may start up another short series once we've knocked out a few more Tavern Talks as well. I like breaking up a handful of Tavern Talks with a short series to kind of give us time
Right.
to rest and rejuvenate and find something else to talk about D&D
Yeah.
wise. But next week, or not next week, next month, because these are monthly series, we will hit up again. We tend to do these on the third Tuesday of every month. We will have a new topic to discuss. It will probably be exciting. We haven't picked it yet, but we'll get there. If you want to know what it is before it happens, swing by our Discord. We have that, our Crickcats Discord. The link is in several of the down belows in wherever you're watching this, whether it be on Twitch or on YouTube later. We do have various social medias. I'm not exactly sure which ones of them we are currently updating at this time. But if you type Crickcats into your Google searches or whatever, I'm sure you'll find us. They're fun. But if you're not already following us just to see all of our content, feel free to do so. If you are not yet subscribed, it's cool if you do. I just resubbed today. Especially if you have like a Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime subscription, you get one free sub. If you're not using it for anything, if you throw it our way, it gives us some resources to do even better, cooler things than we're already doing. Not that will stop us from continuing to do better, cooler things if you fail to do that, but more is better, and better is always fun. So, other than that, thanks for hanging out with us this evening, and we'll see you all next time for the next Tavern Talk. Bye.